technology is not the silver bullet. It's an enabler, to fix these problems, but you have to understand what the problems are first, and you have to identify what those problems are. You have to identify whether your staff can help it, whether they can be educated, whether they're open, whether culturally, you can, adapt and adopt these new technologies.
Hello and welcome to a new episode of Engati CX. I'm your host Vineet, and we're really glad to have all of you join us today. On this show, we talk to CX and technology experts from around the world. We explore, uncover, and share fresh insights on creating experiences that your customers will remember and look forward to. Engati is the world's leading multilingual, no-code digital CX platform available across 14 channels with 45,000 solutions created across 186 countries in every domain and use case. Engati has also been recognized as a top platform by Inc. magazine, Tech World, CIO, and many others. We run the Engati blog, video channel, and the Engati CX podcast, receiving upwards of 400,000 visitors annually. And now for our guest. Douglas Karr is the founder, editor, author, and publisher at MarkTech Zone and is a digital transformation consultant and speaker. He is a recognized expert in the digital marketing and technology space and consultant for local startups, investment, and enterprise companies. He is passionate in helping these companies on how to best maximize investments through education, process improvements, and platform selection and automation. Welcome to the show, Douglas. We're thrilled to have you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. But before we dive into our interview with Douglas, don't forget to subscribe to Engati and tap the bell icon to get access to exclusive content from thought leaders around the globe. Getting back to our interview, how do we initiate the digital transformation process with ongoing company activities?
That's a great question, and it's a great way to kind of start off the conversation. When we look at digital transformation at a company, we're basically looking at two sides of the same coin. We're looking at internally, what are our people doing and what processes do they have? Where are the roadblocks? Where are the inconsistencies, the errors? Where are they spending the most time and not getting the least return? And then the reverse side of that is the same question with our customers. For our customers, what's that experience like, and what processes are they doing that are cumbersome and repetitive and everything? And so digital transformation is basically looking at those processes and identifying which ones can really change the experience, both internally and externally, to improve the overall business results. And so a perfect one might be for a marketer is I'm working in 3 different systems and I have to sit every single day and export data from one system and normalize it, import it into another system to get things working. Well, that's not a good use of time. And it's going to introduce problems, errors, any other type of inconsistencies. And then those are going to roll downhill to your customer, right? And so we look at we identify opportunities like that where we can make the most impact. Usually internally, it's through automation and integration. And then externally, it's through, customer experiences and user interfaces and bringing data into one platform and everything. So that kind of sums it up. It's a big beast, but you have to take it one chunk at a time.
Yeah. I think to improve efficiency, taking it one step at a time will definitely help companies move forward.
Absolutely.
So, Douglas, what is the biggest obstacle to digital transformation?
Yeah, there's a few, and people should know that, especially in enterprise, digital transformation fails a lot. A lot of these initiatives are over budget, run out of time, everything. I think one of the keys to this is that people tend to look at the problem and analyze those processes after they buy a solution. And that's unfortunate. And so one of the things that we tell people is, it doesn't start with the platform. Unfortunately, we live in a world where we're inundated with marketing from software as a service companies and enterprise companies telling us how, their product helped digitally transform, a company and how it helped them. There's no doubt that it did that, but the vendor selection should happen after, not before you actually look at those processes. So the biggest problem that I see and the biggest obstacle I see is people usually go buy a solution, to fix their digital transformation or to help them digitally transform their companies. And then they have to go back and fit it into the people and processes. And that's when the failures start. That's when they identify, that there's no way to integrate, or there's no way to export, or there's no their staff doesn't have the time to do training, or they don't have the expertise internally, or they don't have a good budget to hire external consultants to assist them. And so it all starts, in my opinion, with before you even look for a vendor, before you even look for a solution, you really have to understand internally your people and processes, and how you can impact the. And when I say people, I still mean internal and customers, so people and processes. And then you can go out and look for vendors that absolutely can help there, that can integrate, that have the tools that you need, that that you can train easily with current staff, all of those pieces. So I really feel strongly about this, is that people should hire, if they were going to hire a consultant to help them implement a solution, they should hire a consultant first to help them find a solution.
That's nice. Yeah. So, what is the most influential emerging technology in digital transformation implementation, and which one would you bet on?
Well, I think the customer data platforms are becoming an absolute necessity nowadays, and that's basically, and there's a wide scope of what that looks like. A CRM, if implemented correctly, could be somewhat of a customer data platform. But what we're talking about is basically a platform where you can see a 360-degree view of a customer, that I can easily look up, you in my database, and I can see all of the activity, the purchases, the proposals, the contacts, the support tickets, everything about your history in one place, because that's going to enable me to enable better customer experiences externally and everything within the organization. And when you have that data normalized like that, when you have that data accessible like that, I would say that's when AI really becomes a key, and that's artificial intelligence, because now we can apply algorithms to that, and we can see, propensity to purchase, or propensity to renew, or response rates dropping, and engagement dropping, and we can identify those opportunities that we need to fix within the organization. So I think it's a twofold question. One leads to the other. But in my opinion, an influential emerging technology is definitely a customer data platform of some sort, where you can centralize all of the information and easily access it. Because once it's centralized, now you can connect it to other, experiences.
Okay. So, yeah, so I totally agree to your point that the data will help us solve it better. But sometimes the data tends to have like bias. So, how do you work around that?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question, and it's a real problem within the industry. It's a real problem within artificial intelligence too. Is if your customers, let's just say, if you have a really low retention rate with your customers, applying artificial intelligence to that may not be a solution, because you don't have a combination of both good customers and bad customers
Correct.
to analyze. And so I think that's truly the job of an analyst, is or a modern marketer nowadays, is to look at that analysis and identify those opportunities. Fortunately, once the algorithms are set up and once you're training AI, you will see, that you're going in the wrong direction. And so that's why all of this is test, measure, test, measure, test, measure, until you can start putting, the numbers in the right direction.
Okay. And do you feel that as a customer experience professional, would it be better if they would work on their own, or would they have to work with every single department to get the insights?
That's exactly it. Every department, that's especially departments that are client facing, and then top down within an organization. You would be surprised that when you talk to a CEO and you find out what her or his goals are within the organization,
Yeah.
and then you talk to middle management, and you identify what their goals, and then you talk to a customer service representative, the difference in experience, right? A CEO might say, I want my marketing team to drive more leads, right? That's what every CEO, wants, wants their marketing department to do. But then
Yeah.
when you talk to the marketing manager, that marketing manager might say, you know what, I am just so out of control with these data issues that if I could just fix some of these data issues, that would be great. And then you've got the sales representative or the customer service representative, at the bottom that says, I just wish that we had this data when somebody called, and so you can see that the levels of
Depending on the
problems,
experience. Yeah.
change. And so what we try to do is, when we go into an organization and we actually interview them, that's exactly what we do. We ask the top, we ask the middle, and then we pay really close attention to the customer facing people. The people that are talking to the customers typically understand more than anybody else, what the heartaches are and what the complaints are that are really, really driving, the business to have either a poor experience or, great opportunity to improve their experience. And so you've got to talk to everybody, in the organization to make sure that there's alignment, and so that the CEO understands. We were working with a large company that the CEO thought that they had, 11 million contacts within their database. And by the time we did the overall analysis, it wound up that there was about 600,000 active, engaged contacts. The rest of them were just old people, dead records, everything. And so, the CEO is proud of this massive database, but the people at the bottom understood, no, we've got a really finite group of people that are really supporting our business. And so those are the types of things that you uncover, when you do these analysis and you do these interviews top down with an organization.
That's a really nice point. Like, unless and until we don't go at the grassroots level, we'll not be able to understand on how we can.
Absolutely. And most time, and this is it's not a criticism of companies. Each level of management, has their own focus and their own goals, whether it's budgetary, personnel, resources, training. It's just that what you find is that as you get closer to the customer, that's where you really start to identify the issues. And then, of course, if you can talk to the customers, if you can get survey information on why they left the company or why they no longer use the products and services, you can just uncover a ton of information that can help you prioritize, what you need to do internally to transform.
Yeah, correct. So, what is your approach to digital transformation leadership? And can you give us any example or experience?
Yeah, absolutely. I think from a digital transformation leadership, there's got to be a opportunity for your people to fail. So culturally within the organization, testing and failure have to be rewarded within the company, because some of this is risk associated. When you're moving from, let's say, a traditional communication model to a digital communication model, you're introducing a new way of interfacing with your customers, and that may not be optimal when you go to market. And so you've got to get this cultural acceptance internal that, hey, we're going to go ahead and implement this knowing that we're going to learn from it. It might fail, but then using agile approaches, we can start to move and transform it and move it into the right direction. So the first thing is that. The second thing is really that entrepreneurial spirit within the organization. We see a lot, especially when you're talking enterprise digital transformation. If you're in a company that is using one platform and they're going to migrate to, let's say, a new platform, you're going to see some of those experts that you have internally are going to leave the company. And it's because their entire career was based on their expertise at one platform. And so a leader within the organization understands that. A leader understands that some people are going to be left behind. Some people are going to leave the company. And then you're probably going to need some additional people coming into the company to help. But helping people focus on the end goal and understanding why you're making those decisions is really, really critical. And allowing failure, and I'm not talking monumental failure or business failure. I'm just talking projects. Projects might be a little bit late. Projects might take longer if you want to do a better job of scaling them or making them able to be evolve for the future. And so it really takes an incredible leader internal to inspire the people, make them feel comfortable that, okay, we're going to try this and it may or may not work, but that's okay. And then we're going to learn from it and then we're going to move on. And so my job is basically helping companies prioritize what that roadmap looks like. Hey, let's try this first because this is the biggest opportunity and the biggest pain point that we see. We'll perfect that. And then we'll take the next, and then we'll take the next, and then we'll take the next. And digital transformation isn't a project that finishes. Typically, it's something that sometimes you get an external consultant to assist you, and you help create kind of that roadmap and that baseline, but then your own staff gets up to speed and understands how to move it from there, to a continuously improving and continuously evolving process.
Okay, so what I understand is that as a leader, we should not only ensure that our people will follow their goals, but also the company's goals are being fulfilled.
Absolutely. Understanding why we're doing this, sometimes we're doing this little painful, job that we have to do. And now my job is doubled. Maybe I have to do my traditional work and now I have to learn this new methodology. And so I'm stressed out and everything else. But I understand why I'm doing it. I understand that this is the goal in mind, and this is where we're going to be in, let's say, 3 months or 6 months or a year.
Okay. So, how effective is the integration of customer experience tools in this age? And do you think chatbots and live chat can solve a majority of your customer experience problems?
Yeah, I think we're definitely seeing a transition with consumers and businesses alike, where we don't necessarily want to speak to someone internal to the company. We want self-help. And so if it's in the purchase decision process, I don't necessarily want to immediately call the salesperson and start talking to them. What
Yeah.
I might want to do is get on their site, research information, ask questions, and get help and get the assistance I need with those questions. So chatbots and live chat solutions, in my opinion, are fantastic, especially when they're AI driven on the back end, because they can dip into those questions. You can take, let's say, a natural language process of me just asking, do you have any pricing for a company of this size, right? And if that goes into a chatbot and there's an article out on the website that explains that and presents that back, well, now you just helped me. I found the information that I need, and I didn't have to interrupt someone internally. And I didn't have to open up the door to, maybe a salesperson just calling me and inundating me,
Yeah.
all day. And so what we're seeing in the industry is consumers and businesses alike. I want to go as far as I can down the customer journey to the buying decision before ever contacting a company. And so everything, internal search on a website, articles on a website, white papers, videos, infographics, live chat, chat bots, all of these things, what they're doing is basically enabling me to help myself in that buying decision. And that's critical nowadays. People will, if it requires me to call a salesperson and your competitor has all of this information readily available, and then a chat bot, maybe it's a live chat right there, where I can just ask a quick question and get a response, I'm going to wind up going with that other solution, regardless of the quality, sometimes regardless of the price, sometimes regardless of the features. It's that, oh, this company is easy to work with, and that one's difficult to work with. And so all of these customer experience enhancements that we're seeing via the web are to help basically serve that problem.
Yeah, I totally agree to your point. Like in today's day, most of the times before buying something, we've already done research on them, gone to the website, seen YouTube videos. So in that way, then do you think like customer delight is a bit overrated, and maybe actually providing value to your customers, that will be a much better way for companies to look forward to?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Everything that you can do. It's funny. If you're in the industry, let's say I'm a search engine consultant in the industry, I'm going to tell you that everything is related to search, and all your money and effort should be put into search. If I'm a if I'm an integration consultant, I'm going to tell you everything should be integration, and that's where you should spend all your money. If I'm a chat bot, I'm going to tell you that's where you need to follow. Well, the fact is that you need to spread it out and provide as many of these channels and mediums as you can. And so I don't, the question for a company would be, let's say if you had 1,000 people that landed on your site every day, and two of those people wish that you had a live chat or chat bot. It because you was it worth you not having it there? That's the question. And so most people would say, no, I would love to have one more customer if we had a chat bot. That would be well worth the investment in that. And so that's kind of what I ask everybody is, that's great that search engines maybe can, and I'm a huge proponent of search engine consulting, or search engine optimization and organic search. But the fact is that I need both. I need both to really help people. And so I think that's the key here is it's not about what you can do, it's about what you can provide for the customer to help themselves. And the more that you can provide that, and the better you can balance that across your website, and the more features you can give them, and the more opportunities you can give them to self-help, you're going to see a consistent increase in engagement, awareness, acquisition, and with retention as well. These things are incredibly important from a retention standpoint. You probably get as upset as I do, is that if I have a problem with my bill, or I have a problem with a system, and I have to go to a blank page and click contact, and my request goes into a black hole, right? That's not a customer experience that I want. I want to be able to talk to someone and be reassured that the problem is getting taken care of, or get that help that I need. And so these things, everything is to basically assist the customer, assist the business, both in the sales cycle with acquisition, and in the retention and support side of the equation as well.
Okay. And Douglas, any other sound bites that you would like to leave our audience with?
Well, I mean, the big one in my business is I'm a technologist. I absolutely love technology. I love the opportunities that companies like Engati can provide people, but it takes that upfront work of people and processes before you look at that solution. And so you're going to see opportunities where okay, here's a huge problem that we have internal. Maybe it's a data issue, or maybe it's a processing issue, or maybe it's systems integration that don't work together, and it's causing a ton of time, energy, and then a poor customer experience. Then what you can do is evaluate the solutions and say, is this solution going to help fix this problem? And I really, really, the soundbite that I want to leave with everybody is that the technology is not the silver bullet. It's an enabler, to fix these problems, but you have to understand what the problems are first, and you have to identify what those problems are. You have to identify whether your staff can help it, whether they can be educated, whether they're open, whether culturally, you can, adapt and adopt these new technologies, and then go look for the solution. And when you marry the two together, that's when you really get a digital transformation engagement or process that is successful, is when you look at that. So my soundbite again is, don't look for a solution first. Look at your problem first, and then identify whether the solution can assist with that.
That's a really nice point. Like technology is not a silver bullet, it's an enabler.
Exactly.
Yeah. So many companies, like, they just do it because others are doing it, or maybe because my competitor is doing it. But actually they need to understand what is it going to solve for me.
Yeah, we see this in enterprise. You see it huge. If you're a CMO and you're really far away from you might not even work within your systems at all. You might just get dashboards from your
Correct.
staff and everything. The decision that you're going to make on a new enterprise, let's say CRM or marketing automation system, you're going to go read, analyst reports. You're going to, and you might make a purchase decision strictly based on, well, that's a safe bet. These guys are number one or number two in the industry, so we're going to go with them. And in enterprise, we see this all the time where companies will spend $500,000 or $1 million on moving to a new system, and internally it wasn't the right system, and now they're stuck with it. Now they spend another $2 million, and they have employee turnover and education issues and process issues and everything else to try to catch up. And we see that a lot with large organizations where people aren't aware of the problems down at the customer level and the customer service and sales level. We see a lot of bad decision making because they do go, oh, hey, these guys are the safe one. Everybody uses this software, so we'll go use this software. And then it just causes all this disruption and everything internal to the organization. And it winds up failing. And sometimes they wind up getting fired or they leave the company, and then the company is kind of left in shambles, with two different systems, nothing working together. And so yeah, we see that a lot.
Okay. So what I understand from this is that a company should first focus on the customer journey, and then they should see where they can add value to the customer. After
That's
that,
exactly it.
okay.
Yep. Yeah, and internally as well, right? Your internal
Makes
people are
sense.
going to have problems as well. You're gonna talk to people internally that are going to tell you, well, I spend, half a day every week converting this data. Well, that's a perfect opportunity to take and create an integration or a extract, transformation, and load process, or write code, that automatically inputs that data, or anything. And so you want to look at both of those sides, because one is going to help the other.
Okay. So so is it like in order to improve my customer experience, first I start with my employee experience.
I think a lot of the times that's absolutely true. There are times where, if you have everything working and your employees are all working and they're efficient at processing data, there are times where you can create a digital transformation project that is strictly externally based. Like a perfect example might be a banking application, right? A mobile banking application maybe doesn't impact your internal or your internal employee processes too much, but it absolutely transforms the experience externally. And so there are times that you can adopt, things like that. I think, you brought up like chatbots and live chat. A chatbot is probably a good example. That if you already have people writing content and indexing content and tagging content and categorizing it and writing frequently asked questions and everything on your site, well, there are solutions now that can just take and link that, that chatbot, and automatically provide answers or suggestions for answers. And so that might be a good example of where you don't have to change the internal process, but you can enhance the customer experience.
Okay. Thank you so much, Douglas, for giving us your time. Your insights were really valuable, and I know our audience is really going to enjoy this interview.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you for having me.
So, folks, we'll be back with a new episode with a new expert soon. So, stay tuned, and we'll see you around for the next one.